We are at the Oakland Cemetery here in Atlanta for a walk around. It's a beautiful day. It's getting rather nice. In 1850, the city of Atlanta established a public cemetery on this ridge overlooking downtown. Originally known as Atlanta or City Cemetery, the name Oakland was adopted in 1872 because of its many oaks. It was the principal burial grounds for Atlanta residents, travelers, and paupers. The cemetery contains separate African American and Jewish burial sections, as well as distinct areas for Confederate and Union soldiers. This 48-acre cemetery is the burial site of several Georgia governors, more than 20 Atlanta mayors, and 5 Confederate generals. Author Margaret Mitchell and golfer Bobby Jones are also buried here. Developed in the style of the rural cemetery movement, Oakland is an example of the Victorian interest in funeral art and English landscape aesthetics. We're going to be headed to the visitor center. There's supposed to be a walk around by a guide every day at 2 o'clock, so maybe we'll be in luck. Here's another shot of all this wonderful cemetery art. They have many of these giant oak trees along the road here at Oakland Cemetery. Here's another shot of all this wonderful cemetery art. From this vantage point, we can see a part of the Atlanta skyline behind the cemetery. Looks like we have some kind of monolith or obelisk up in the distance there. They have some really beautiful flowers here along the walkway. We're going into the office to see what time the guided tour starts. They have all these beautiful flowers here. This is the Grant Mausoleum. These graves here, they look like they are a bed. Here's a beautiful statue. It looks like it needs to be clean. They have a very interesting obelisk here with inscriptions on. They have these beautiful red flowers here at the office. These are the museum hours here, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Saturday. This is the visitor center here.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, thank you.
So we have Lynette. Where are you from?
Seattle.
Seattle. Huh?
Which part? I mean, oh, Buckhead. Okay, we're out from Lawrenceville.
My name is Hans. I'll be your tour guide today. I've been doing this for about 11 years. Well, 11, 12 years. We have mostly volunteers that work here other than full-time staff. This was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. So it's on the National Register of Historic Places. Not a perpetual care cemetery, so each lot is a private piece of property when it's laid out. So at the time when the cemetery started in 1850, families didn't move around a lot, they tended to stay. So people would come and tend the cemetery lot, like if they owned one and had a descendant. A lot of people have neighbors, they bought lots next to them, and they would come after church on Sunday and tend the lot. Well, over the years, a lot of families have moved away, or they don't know that they have relatives buried here. So the cemetery would occasionally get kind of run down. So what we'd raise tours and things we sell in the bookstore to kind of maintain. This has all been restored. This is called the Bell Ridge. So they got grant money. They really fixed the walkways. They leveled the stones. They tried not to change anything on the lot, but then they would plan it with things that don't need a lot of maintenance because everything's done by hand here. You can't get lawnmowers in easily, and So if a person has a grave, descendant died, there's quite a few empty spaces here. All the graves are dug by hand. So good exercise. I wouldn't want to do it in August of this year at 100 degrees, but cleans out the sweat glands. So Seattle, why is Atlanta here? Do you know?
Why are we here?
Why is Atlanta? What made
city?
Atlanta happen to you?
I don't know.
You came for the job, maybe, or he's
we're
wondering why
visiting
you're visiting. Okay.
We're visiting, yeah.
Well,
she's asking why we
Atlanta
found a
started
city
in
here.
1850. Atlanta's a fairly young town for Georgia compared to Savannah and Augusta and Decatur, Lawrenceville. They were all here first. But change in transportation. They were looking for a place to bring all these trains together in the 1830s. They passed legislation to look for what they called terminus, a place for these different railroads to merge so they could change trains and go someplace else. So this spot was picked right downtown Atlanta to be a junction for the trains to change. Like if somebody was coming from Augusta that wanted to go to Chattanooga, or they wanted to go to a different direction, like west or south to Florida. So it's called terminus unofficially. The first train ran in 1842. It was officially named Marthasville in 1842, and that was after a former Governor Lumpkin's daughter. They couldn't come up with a name at the time, so it was named after Martha Lumpkin. Well, the railroad people say they didn't like Marthasville. They thought it was a little hokey, or what they called bucolic, like kind of country-ish. So the name was changed in 1845 to Atlanta. The railroad people say it was named Atlanta after the feminine version of the Western Atlantic Railroad. The Martha Lumpkin's obituary says it was twice named after her because her father called her Atalanta, after the Greek goddess who was very fleet of foot. It just has, like Atlanta, but just two A's at the beginning. So everybody wants their claim to fame. Okay, we're
heading up the way here.
We've got leaves to rake and junk to pick up, limbs to cut. They mean different things. The Grant Mausoleum it's kind of eclectic, Romanesque, but it has the Egyptian look. Mausoleums are really around partly because of the discovery of all the tombs in Egypt. People got interested in sort of burial chambers rather than just a grave. The trains allowed large pieces of granite and marble to be moved. It was very hard. The Egyptians did it way before trains, so I don't know how they did it, but they're not
Aliens.
The
aliens.
The aliens moved those stones.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, hard to figure out, but it's really why we have cemeteries like this compared to the older cemeteries, was equipment that was powered to move heavy pieces of stone. A lot of this marble and granite was mined in Georgia, like Tate, Georgia. There's a lot of marble. Stone Mountain, there's a lot of granite. The monument, who's buried in Grant's tomb? The Grants are, but also Governor Slayton. If you're from Atlanta, you might have heard of the Leo Frank Mary Fagan case. A little girl was murdered in 1913. The evidence didn't point to Leo Frank, who was the pencil factory manager, but he was eventually convicted that summer of 1913. His sentence kept getting commuted because the legal community didn't think he was guilty. The judge on the trial asked the governor to commute his sentence in 1915 before he left office. So Governor Slayton commuted Leo Frank's sentence to life in prison until they could figure this out. Some of the sort of vigilante white supremacist groups in Georgia, and later that summer Leo Frank was taken from Milledgeville prison and lynched up near Marietta, where Mary Fagan's buried.